Introducing aPriori.
To Mark Rushton, you're kind of the go-to guy when it comes to sustainability. So tell me why it is that a lot of companies are looking at the sustainability of their products today.
It's a great question. Thanks for having me. I think what is really driving it, the climate change, is becoming more urgent. You know, there's a lot of scientists say we're close to reaching a tipping point where we really can't go back from that. And consumers are actually demanding more from manufacturers and companies to be more sustainable. That on top of regulations that are coming out, it's all pushing in the right direction. So it's really positive that we're reaching that point. I guess it should have been earlier, but you know, it's great that aPriori can help.
So you say it's pushing in the right direction for the planet, for the climate, but it's pushing in a very challenging direction for manufacturers, because in the past it's been very difficult to get a baseline level of CO2, even to start measuring, not alone tracking and improving on metrics. So where have you seen companies start to get a handle around their current carbon footprint?
Yeah, so it is a really complex topic. There's a lot to consider, and I think part of the problem is no one has like an intuition about what's better. With cost, for example, it's pretty obvious if you compare two products which one is going to be more expensive because it's got more features, it's got a more expensive material, things like that, and you can kind of gauge it. But with sustainability, a more expensive material or like a heavier material, you think, oh, that's probably going to be worse. It's often not. Like there's
because the processes might use less energy,
Exactly.
or because there might be less waste in the product. So there's just so many different factors to look at when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, material has a huge impact, and really you don't want to waste any material. So there's a lot of balances, and the trade-off analysis that aPriori has done for a long time for cost is really the key to making some good progress.
So we've heard of a lot of regulations that are coming to play for manufacturers, both now and in the years ahead. You know, there are 2030 goals, there are 2050 goals. What do you think is going to be on folks' plate for this year ahead for 2023? What do you think is really the short-term goal that manufacturers should be pushing towards?
Yeah, I think if manufacturers don't have a baseline for their current products, they're really kind of cutting it fine. That's a good place to start, because people talk about 50% reduction and going to net zero, but you've really got to know where you are to be able to do a 50% reduction. And yeah, that's a great place to start. And I think it needs to really happen from the design phase. It's easy to start in sourcing because you're not having to change the design. You can just look at different areas to get it manufactured. It's not always an option, but it's the easiest option. The more complex option is to do it early on in the design phase and build in sustainability assessments at that early stage. But that's where you're going to get the biggest impact. So it's more difficult, but you're going to get much more returns. It's much like cost. You know, if you start in the design phase, trying to design out cost, you're going to get more of an advantage than if you try and do it later on.
You say 80% of the cost is determined in the design phase. I imagine that 80% of the sustainability impact is also going to be determined in the design stage as well.
Exactly. Yeah, nailed it.
So what you're trying to do is put something in the hands of the designers to help with sustainability, so it's not an afterthought.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
aPriori, making profitability and sustainability a reality for a better world.